They say the future arrives in whispers. But sometimes it arrives with a spotlight, blinding, relentless, and impossible to ignore. Elon Musk, they are watching your every move. Wait until you see who. Pause. This is the story of how our everyday lives became data points, and how that data is being watched, mapped, and monetized. Imagine this. You wake up, reach for your phone, and the device already knows where you will be by noon. Not because of magic, but because your routine, your patterns, your habits have been learned. Day by day, your digital shadow grows. It remembers the coffee shop you prefer, the routes you avoid, the late-night searches you'd rather forget. Pause. It learns what you like, who you love, who you argue with, and even the little anxieties you never voiced out loud. Now imagine a company who builds rockets, electric cars, satellites, and plans to connect the entire globe to the internet. Imagine that company having not only a map of the sky above us, but also an invisible web that tracks the tiny signals we send every second. That thought sits at the center of today's story. It's not accusation, it's context. As technology grows, so does its reach. Here's the twist. While phones, watches, and apps track us privately and commercially, satellites and global networks collect information on a much grander scale. They can see movement patterns across cities, infer population trends, and, when combined with local data, build profiles that feel eerily personal. Think less Big Brother, in a single room, and more, an orchestra of instruments, each playing a part in a grand composition of surveillance. Before you feel overwhelmed, remember, surveillance isn't new. Streets always had watchful eyes, windows, neighbors, and street cameras. What's new is the scale and the subtlety. It's not always a villain. It can help find missing persons, optimize traffic, or deliver emergency help faster. But like any powerful tool, its moral weight depends on who wields it, how transparent they are, and whether there are guardrails. In the coming parts, we'll unpack who has access to this data, how the pieces fit together, and what it means for your privacy. We'll explore the companies building the architecture and the technology that turns anonymous signals into intimate maps of human life. Short pause. We'll also meet the people, engineers, insiders, and whistleblowers, who say, the system is evolving faster than our laws and our norms. So hold that thought. Your morning routine, the roads you drive, the songs you hum, all of it can become a pattern, a breadcrumb trail. When patterns multiply across millions, they reveal more than anyone intended. Pause. In Part 2, we go inside the technology, from satellite constellations to neural networks, and show how everyday actions are turned into data that can be analyzed, predicted, and, at times, sold. If privacy feels like an old-fashioned idea, think again. It might be the last defense between who you are and who an algorithm decides you should be. Lower voice, stay with me. The story is only beginning. Last part we set the stage. Now let's step behind the curtain and look at the tools. How do everyday movements, a thumb swipe, a car ride, a glance at a billboard, turn into actionable intelligence? The answer is a system of layers, sensors, networks, and machine learning models that stitch fragments into a complete picture. First layer, Sensors. Your smartphone, smartwatch, smart TV, and yes, even your smart fridge, emit tiny signals. GPS pings, Wi-Fi handshake attempts, Bluetooth beacons, accelerometer spikes, all these are signals in the wild. Alone they're harmless. Together, they create a fingerprint. When you carry that fingerprint from home to work to the gym, it becomes a signature of your life. Second layer, networks and infrastructure. Cell towers, fiber optics, and low Earth orbit satellites move those signals across the planet. Satellite constellations now blanket large swaths of the Earth with connectivity. The aim is simple: global internet access. The consequence is less simple. Those same beams can be used to collect and route immense volumes of metadata: who's online, where they connect, and roughly what they're doing. Third layer, the algorithms. This is the part that makes pattern recognition terrifyingly efficient. Machine learning models can spot anomalies, group users by behavior, and predict future actions. Want to predict who's likely to buy a product, change a habit, or move to a new city? Feed a model enough historical behavior and it will give you a probability, sometimes frighteningly accurate. Now tie in the corporate angle. Companies that build global networks have incentives, revenue, market dominance, and the drive to innovate. The more they know about usage, the better they can improve services, target offerings, or run experiments. But when commercial incentives meet unprecedented reach, tensions arise. Where do we draw the line between beneficial optimization and intrusive exploitation? Regulators are often playing catch-up. Laws that protect privacy were crafted in an era when data volumes were tiny. Today's infrastructure operates at planet scale. It moves faster than policy making. That gap creates space for practices that may be legally ambiguous but ethically questionable. Finally, consider aggregation. Individual data streams can be innocuous, but combined across multiple systems, the result is a detailed life map. Aggregators and intermediaries, firms that collect and resell data, can compile layers into dossiers. And once a dossier exists, it can be used in ways the person never consented to. So what does this mean for you? It means awareness is your first line of defense. Understand which devices are listening. Audit permissions. Consider what you share and where. Not to be paranoid, but to be informed. In Part 3, we'll look at examples, real-world use cases where this convergence helped, and where it harmed. We'll hear from insiders and examine scenarios that could touch your life. Soft fade, the machinery is not a plot, it's an evolution. But without scrutiny, evolution can quickly become enclosure. Stories make abstract threats concrete. Let me tell you 3 short, real-feeling scenarios. Each one starts small and ends where it gets personal. Scenario 1, the city that knew. A mid-sized city deploys connected sensors to reduce congestion. Traffic lights talk to cars. Anonymized data improves bus routes. But as the program scales, granular movement records reveal repeat patterns. Who visits what clinics, which neighborhoods experience unusual foot traffic late at night. Insurers and landlords take notice. Prices and policies shift subtly. People who once benefited now feel watched. Scenario 2, the recruiter who knew too much. An engineer applies for a job. The company uses a third-party analytics service that aggregates public and semi-public signals, social profiles, location check-ins, and even device metadata paint a portrait. Hiring managers, hungry for advantage, make decisions informed by inferred behaviors, not the candidate's resume. Bias creeps in, and rejected candidates may never know why. Scenario 3, the whistleblower's warning. Someone inside a tech firm notices models being trained on datasets they thought were scrubbed. They leak internal memos showing that supposedly anonymized logs were being re-identified using auxiliary information. The company defends itself, saying it was for product improvement. The leak sparks debate: does convenience trump consent? These scenarios are fictionalized but rooted in documented patterns: optimization yielding surprises, data markets growing quietly, and re-identification of anonymized datasets, a well-documented technical vulnerability. The key takeaway: context matters. Same technology can empower rescue missions or enable invasive profiling. So where do power and responsibility meet? They meet in policy, in design choices, and in public scrutiny. Engineers write the algorithms, executives set priorities, regulators, sometimes belatedly, set guardrails. But citizens, too, have influence. Awareness, consumer pressure, and activism shape corporate behavior more than many realize. Now, about Elon Musk, the name in our title. Public figures who build infrastructure inevitably attract attention because their companies shape the tech stack. When a company aims to blanket the globe with connectivity, it becomes central to the conversation about surveillance, access, and accountability. The question isn't just, can they watch, but who watches the watchers, and what rules govern that watch? Part 4 will dig into accountability, what laws, standards, and safeguards exist, and where gaps remain. We'll explore practical steps you can take, from tech habits to advocacy, to regain some control over your data. Pause, because when the tools are this powerful, silence is not neutral, it's consent. If you're worried, good. Worry is the start of action. Let's talk about concrete things you can do right now, and how society can push for better practices. Personal steps first. Audit your devices. Go into settings and review app permissions, GPS, microphone, camera, background data. Turn off anything unnecessary. Use privacy-focused browsers and search engines. Consider using a VPN for insecure networks, but know a VPN doesn't make you invisible, it only hides some traffic. Regularly update software. Security patches close known vulnerabilities. Finally, reduce cross-service linking. The fewer accounts tied together, the harder it is to build a composite profile. Next, demand transparency. Companies should publish clear, accessible privacy reports. What data they collect, how they use it, how long it's retained, and who they share it with. Call for independent audits. Third-party verification can expose gaps and improve trust. Regulation matters. Governments need up-to-date rules that reflect modern realities, limits on mass data retention, stricter consent requirements for aggregation, and meaningful penalties for misuse. Some regions have started this work, but implementation is uneven. Advocate for stronger laws, support civic tech groups that map surveillance infrastructure, and vote with privacy in mind. Corporate accountability also rests on boards and investors. Shareholders can push for privacy risk assessments. Employees can speak up internally. Whistleblower protections must be real and robust. Public pressure, media scrutiny, consumer behavior, and legal action influences corporate choices far more than abstract debates. Then there's technology design. Privacy by default should be the norm. That means products designed to minimize data collection, with strong anonymization techniques and differential privacy where possible. It also means interoperable privacy tools so users aren't locked into one ecosystem. Finally, education. Young people grow up in an always-on world. Digital literacy programs that teach consent, data awareness, and defensive habits will build resilience over generations. Privacy should not be a hack, it should be a taught skill. Soft pause. None of these are silver bullets. The system is complex and interdependent, but small, consistent actions, by individuals, companies, and governments, can reshape incentives. And that brings us to the most important question: when the people care, the powerful listen. Part 5 will close the loop. Who benefits from the status quo, who pays the price, and how we can imagine a future where connectivity and dignity coexist. We began with a title meant to grab your attention. But now, after the tech, the risks, and the fixes, let's answer the deeper question: who are they, and what do they want? They is not one person. It's a network of actors, corporations seeking scale and profit, governments balancing security and control, third-party data brokers assembling dossiers, and even well-intentioned engineers pursuing optimization. Some want to help, some want to sell, some want power. The overlap is messy, and within it, your life becomes data. Who benefits? Companies that can monetize attention and behavior. Governments seeking situational awareness. Advertisers optimizing conversions. Who pays the price? Often ordinary people, marginalized communities, job seekers, or those who simply value solitude. Surveillance heightens inequity when the costs, profiling, discrimination, or exploitation, fall most heavily on those already vulnerable. So what's the alternative? Imagine a world where connectivity is universal but privacy is a default, where networks enable rescue and connection, not exploitation, where data is treated as a human dignity, not just a commodity. That world isn't impossible. It requires different incentives, regulation that levels the playing field, products that embed privacy by design, and citizens who insist on accountability. You can be part of that change. Start small. Change a setting, read a privacy policy. Yes, really, support companies that respect users, and hold leaders accountable. Push for audits. Demand transparency. Teach others. Collective action moves faster than you think. To close, technology will continue to reshape our lives. The question isn't whether we will be watched. Sensors are everywhere. But who decides what watching means, and how that watching is governed? Titles like the one you heard tonight are meant to alarm, but they should also motivate. Use that energy. If you take one thing away, let it be this: awareness matters, action matters, and together we can build systems that respect human dignity while unleashing innovation. Long pause, then softer. Elon Musk, or any public figure, can spark debate, but the real power rests with all of us. Because when citizens demand better, companies and governments must respond. That is how the future gets shaped, not in silence.